What does content marketing look like in 2025? Here are 7 things you should focus on going into the new year. Number 1, be super clear what someone has to do next. Now, when you create content, there's been a lot of talk in the past kind of 5 or even 10 years about just delivering value, constantly delivering value, and then your customer will somehow find a way to work with you. Not now. Now we have to be really blatant about what we want our potential client to do next. So with all our clients, how we approach this is we create content. This could be content on their blog, on video, on social media, wherever it is, and there should be a clear call to action from there to go to something like a webinar or a masterclass or something else, a quiz, whatever it might be. We're constantly trying to get people to that next step. And from there, you then go on to introduce your products and services. But no longer should people be thinking, I'm just going to create value after value after value and hope that someone finds a way to work with me. No, you need to be more blatant. You need to say, okay, this is my free content. From here, you can come on to more exclusive content like a webinar. And from here, this is how you buy from me. It needs to be very, very clear cut because there is an avalanche of content coming, especially with AI now here. And you need to make sure that the people that you are getting to your content are converting from there. So really make that a focus of 2025. And that actually brings me on to my next point, which is involve some kind of face-to-face human interaction in your content. So what I said before is what we're doing with clients and what's working incredibly well is producing content at a high level, really delivering so much value. And from there, getting that person onto something where they actually see your face, where they're seeing you live, where they maybe get to ask you questions, something like a webinar or a masterclass, something where they get to know you and get to learn more from you, get to understand who you are and what you stand for, and get to, have more value. And this is incredibly important because, as I said before, there's so much content out there. There's so much absolutely exceptional content out there that one of the things that's going to make it stand out is the fact that you are you. That's the only unique thing sometimes you can bring to the content. So the fact that people can actually make that next step with you and see you face to face, ask you questions, get to know, like, and trust you is incredibly important. So that combination of content with a human that they can speak to is incredibly successful strategy to then getting them on to buying from you. Number 3, establish a content dumping ground. So what I want you to do is really think about where you can just have a place to put your experiences, your stories, your ideas, anything that's come up in your day. A lot of our clients are really prolific tweeters. So throughout the day, they might tweet 5-10 times in that day, just things that have happened, things, they've had a client call and they had a really interesting question, they've tweeted about it. They have a really interesting story, they've spotted something with a product that they've done better. So many different things that they're tweeting constantly. They've noticed something in the economy or whatever's happening in the world that will be of interest to their target audience. They're constantly tweeting, they're constantly taking the stuff out of their head and putting it out there. Now, this is incredible for a team like us because that means that we can take all of that content and we can turn it into video, we can turn it into blog posts, we can turn it into social media posts, carousels, visuals, so many things that we can do with that after our clients have taken maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute out of the day just to send something, post it, not really think about it too much and just get it out there in the world. And then we take over the rest of it and make sure that it's seen everywhere. And this is incredible for you to do because you can do that exact same thing. It's great to have a place where you're constantly basically documenting things that are happening in your day, in your week, that are really interesting, that could be really interesting to your target audience. So that could be doing things like tweeting, it could be, email, it could even just be notes that you keep, privately on your computer. It doesn't have to be public, but make sure you have that content dumping ground where you're really just getting stuff out there constantly as it happens. And that can be incredibly powerful because it makes sure that whoever's working on your content can get it everywhere. Number 4, investing in your personal brand. What I want you to think about this year is how you can get yourself on more podcasts. podcast interviews, how you can get featured in the media, how you could win awards, anything that really gives you the edge over someone else. And the reason this is so important is because it's becoming increasingly competitive out there. So when it comes to appearing in, say, Google search results, or even kind of AI search results, when people search for something on ChatGPT, for example, they're really going to focus on the brands and the people that have more authority. So that means that you've appeared on podcasts, you've got media mentions, you've won awards, all those kind of things are signals to these companies like Google or ChatGPT or whatever it might be. They are signals that you are trustworthy, that you are reputable, that you know what you're talking about. The more kind of signals you get, the more likely it is that you're going to be recommended and talked about on these platforms and elsewhere as well. So it's really important that you get yourself out there, that you build your own reputation, because that means that you can drive a lot of organic traffic to your website, to your products and services from these places recommending you. Number 5, adopt a testing mindset. So we test everything with our clients. We test, when we post on YouTube, we don't just decide, okay, we're going to post at 3 o'clock every day. We're like, okay, what's it look like at 7 o'clock? What's it look like at 8 p.m. in the evening? What's it look like at midnight? And we're constantly testing things. What does this hook look like? How did this perform better? We're constantly trying to change things up and test things in order to see what works. And this is the mindset you really must have when it comes to content and creating content. You must constantly be putting stuff out there, not really having a perfectionist mindset over it, and just thinking, okay, I'm going to put all this out there, and across a month, I'm going to see what performs best. I'm going to analyze why that hook did better than that. I'm going to analyze, what time actually was best for this content to go out. You should really just kind of let go of that perfectionism, get content out there, and then see what works, and then you can hone in on it and perfect it over time. Don't think, oh, I'm going to start creating content, get it out there, and it's going to be perfect. It won't. It's only through testing where you really get to know what works and what doesn't. And that brings me on to my next point, number 6, which is refresh content consistently. Now, what you'll notice sometimes is you start posting on Instagram and you think, oh, this is really cool. This this kind of image seems to work. I'm going to post similar images and with the captions all the time. And you think, this is really, really working. People are getting really excited about this. I've got lots of likes, I've got lots of comments. People seem to be really engaging with it. And what happens is it starts like this, and then it starts to kind of go like this over time. And that's because people kind of get used to seeing the same thing over and over again. So it becomes a bit like white noise as they're scrolling through Instagram. So this can happen to any single platform. And unfortunately, it means you can't really kind of relax around content. You constantly have to analyze when there's a dip down and think, I might need to change things up here. So if something's working, don't bet on it working long term, especially when it comes to social media. With things like blogging, you've got a little bit more runway with how long things work, but particularly on social media, things change very quickly and trends change very quickly. So what works, for 1 month might not work the next month. So when you notice a dip in things not working or performing as well, it might be an indicator to change things up and do something differently. And finally, number 7, embrace spontaneity. So some of our clients' best performing content is when they're there and they've just had an idea, they've just got something that's really annoyed them, whatever it might be, and they're in the middle of a park and they're walking through and they're just talking about it. They're on their phone, they're on the live or whatever it might be, and they're just talking through it. And that content can perform really, really well. It's in the moment, it's authentic, they've got something in their head that they really, really want to talk about. And you can actually sense it, when someone's actually really excited and passionate about something, when they've thought about it in that moment and like, I have to just get this out there right now. Once you start doing that and you regularly do it, you will notice that people really engage with it, really love it, and they find it really authentic and they want to connect with you and maybe go on to buy from you. So that's working really, really well. So those are the 7 things that you should focus on in 2025 to make sure your content actually delivers you leads and sales. And I'd love to know in the comments below which one is your favorite and which one you'll be focusing on the most. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and you'll be notified the next time we release a video to this channel.